are required to be elections taken throughout the event to ensure proper identification and security. In the meantime, there are some biscuits and coffee that you may enjoy outside the hall. But please be informed that no food and drinks are allowed in this auditorium. And to the case study participants who just arrived, you may check your slides at the registration table outside this
Okay,
auditorium.
WhatsApp you can send to me first. I send to tak apa. Now, take your time. Takkan possible juga. And I think it's something already. I can check. Check. Wait, testing. Okay, just
It's hard to say. Once I just used to lost.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Should be. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the University Malaya Economics Summit 2026. Once again, we would like to seek your cooperation to fill in the seats in the middle of this hall. And to the case study participants, we would like to seek your cooperation by sitting in the seats according to your team names. You are required to wear the admission sticker throughout the event to ensure proper identification and security. We will be starting shortly, so in the meantime, you may enjoy some biscuits and coffee outside this auditorium. But please be informed that no food and drinks are allowed in the auditorium. To the case study participants, you may check your slides at the registration table outside this auditorium. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Can I invite you guys to fill up the front seats first? Thank you very much. Can I invite you guys to fill up the front seats?
Checking it. 我对啊，对，我没看过，哎，你讲的对。 因为我知道，但是我知道你有空。
Good morning, everyone. Just a gentle reminder, if you have brought in any food or drinks, please dispose of them outside of this auditorium. And also, please fill in the gaps of the seats except the first and second row. Thank you.
他会跟我讲，因为那个对在跟着来的，所以我很喜欢。那个刚两个人啊，两个人没有来，刚好现在讲我跟同学他这样，原本是他跟他的，对，我这边。如果你起来就是弯来的，跑起来要帮我走开。这么鱼呀？这东西吗？你不用看，因为最好看了。
Relax.
这里就看，下次看你那个，那没有体验。
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Universiti Malaya Economics Summit 2026. This year's UMES theme examines Malaysia's ongoing economic transition in the face of rapid technological change, shifting global trade and investment patterns, and evolving geopolitical dynamics. While Malaysia continues to attract global investment in strategic sectors such as semiconductors, AI, and many more, constrain the country's ability to fully capture the value from these opportunities.
Before we begin our event, let's enjoy a trailer video prepared by our committee. Right, apologies for the technical issue. Let's rewatch the trailer video that was prepared. Tell me about yourself.
I'm economics student of University of Malaya, and I graduated with CGPA of 4.0.
That's impressive. But unfortunately, the reality is different. Tell me about yourself.
I'm economics student of University of Malaya, and I graduated with CGPA of 4.0.
That's impressive. But unfortunately, the reality is different. Tell me about yourself.
I'm economics student of University of Malaya, and I graduated with CGPA. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, welcome to the Universiti Malaya Economics Summit 2026. Please rise as we welcome our distinguished guests.
Please join us in welcoming our honored guests.
Professor Dr. Geoffrey Williams, founder and director of Williams Business Consultancy.
Dr. Nur Hasya binti Qasim, Advisor of the Pusat Economy Universiti Malaya Economics.
Mr. Ethan Yek, President of the Keynote.
Ms. Yang Hao Rui, Director of the Universiti Malaya Economics Summit UMES 2026.
Mr. Ang An Sui, Deputy Director of UMES 2026.
Please remain standing for the national anthem, followed by the Universiti Malaya anthem. Thank you. You may all be seated.
To begin our program on a blessed note, we would like to invite Ahmad Haris Ipon bin Kamaluddin to lead us in the recitation of Dua.
عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. All praise be to Allah, peace and blessings be upon Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his family and his companions. Allahumma ya Rahman ya Rahim. All praise be to Allah for granting us the chance to assemble today for Universiti Malaya Economics Summit 2026. We gather today seeking your guidance and blessings, and we ask that you make this event a platform for progress and a source of benefit for the nation. We pray that our time spent here today is productive and enriching. O Allah, the provider and the all-knowing, we ask you to bless the discussions and grant us eloquence and clarity of mind as our speakers share their insights. May the knowledge shared today be beneficial, inspiring new ideas and fresh perspective. Please bless us with your tawfiq and hidayah, guide us to greatness, peace, glory, and prosperity in this world and the hereafter. Make us responsible intellectuals. Grant us valuable knowledge that will be beneficial to mankind in order to gain your blessings. Forgive us for our wrongdoing. Bestow patience upon us to face the challenges from you. Please accept our deeds and reward us accordingly. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Thank you, Harris, for that recitation of prayers. Distinguished guests, speakers, and fellow students, welcome to the Universiti Malaya Economics Summit 2026.
This year's summit brings together students, policymakers, academics, industry leaders to explore how economic ideas can translate into real solutions for society. My name is Shen Yi,
And my name is Izani,
and we will be your MCs for today.
To officially launch UMES 2026, we would now like to invite our distinguished guests to the stage for the opening gimmick session. Please give them a warm round of applause.
We kindly invite all VIPs to place your hands on the button placed in front of you and get ready to press the button after the countdown for the symbolic launch. Participants, please join us in officiating UMES 2026.
3, 2, 1.
With great pride and excitement, we hereby declare the officiation of the Universiti Malaya Economics Summit 2026.
Thank you to our distinguished guests for officiating our ceremony. You may now return to your seats.
Nice. Crazy.
It is our absolute pleasure to have all of you here to mark the beginning of UMES 2026. Ladies and gentlemen, our next session serves as an important platform to deepen our understanding of the key themes and discussions surrounding our event. Through this lecture, we hope to gain broader perspectives, valuable insights, and meaningful reflections that will enrich our knowledge and encourage thoughtful discussion.
We are truly honored to welcome our distinguished speaker for today, Professor Dr. Geoffrey Withers, the founder and director of Williams Business Consultancy Sdn Bhd, and until April 2024 was a professor and provost at the Malaysia University of Science and Technology, MUST. He was also Deputy Vice Chancellor of University Tun Abdul Razak Uni Razak from 2012 to 2014. Today, Professor Geoffrey Williams will be sharing his valuable perspectives through a lecture titled Malaysia in Transition, Repositioning Malaysia in a Fragmenting Global Economy.
There will be a Q&A session right after Professor Geoffrey's lecture, so please prepare any questions you have for him to be asked later. Without further ado, please join us in welcoming Professor Geoffrey.
Okay.
Well, thank you all for inviting. Thanks for inviting me. The better picture. I need to take that old one off the internet. Absolutely horrible picture. This is a better picture. Thanks for inviting me. It is a great pleasure always to talk to economists. Although you all look like lawyers, I would say your black suits. As a general rule, lawyers wear black suits, economists wear blue suits. So when you go to Bank Negara, you'll notice they all wear blue suits. So helps to differentiate us because economists are very much more important and much better than lawyers, as we all know. I want to address the question that was given to me. I didn't choose the title, but that doesn't matter. You know, the question that was given to me, which is really the question of Malaysia in transition and how to reposition Malaysia in a fragmenting global economy. I'm going to look at it in a different way, and I'm going to hopefully help you to think about the world in the way that economists think about things, and to take a question and always to turn it around. Never take a question on face value. You must always turn it around. So I'm going to turn it around because the question was really Malaysia in transition. And so my first question was transition to what? Transition toward what? What is it we want to move toward? Now, this is an important question because as a general rule, as an economist, certainly as an economist from my school of philosophy, I'm not an interventionist economist. Quite the opposite. I don't believe in government should economics. As a general rule, I am of the view that the economy as a system will work well by itself unless you interfere with it. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't interfere in the economy. We do from time to time because the economy doesn't always deliver the type of thing that we want to transition to. Therefore, we have to ask the question, what is it we want to transition for? What is it we want to achieve in terms of the economy? Now, one of the big aims that has been around in Malaysia for a long time is this idea that Malaysia wants to transition toward a high-income economy. This has been around for a very long time. In fact, this first was introduced, I often say, under the 10th Malaysia Plan. That's not correct. I have to correct myself. It was under the Economic Transformation Program in 2010. That's where the 10 comes from. Just get it in mind. At that time, the Economic Transformation Program introduced this target of moving Malaysia toward a high-income economy by 2020, within 10 years. Another 10 years. And the first question, of course, was, what does that mean? What is a high-income economy? And the definition of a high-income economy comes from the World Bank. And that is to measure gross national product under what they call the Atlas measure, the Atlas system. The Atlas system takes the gross national product in ringgit, and then it adjusts it according to relative prices and exchange rates to turn it into dollars. So you can compare one country to another. And it says this is a threshold. Above this threshold, you are high income. Below this threshold, you are middle income. Lower down, you are even in the lower income group. Now, although this comes from the World Bank, and the World Bank did, or they have attempted to write a paper on what's often called the middle income trap, which is below the high income threshold. Actually, there is no economic content in this idea of high income, middle income, low income. It is actually fully a definition by the World Bank to determine how much assistance you receive from the World Bank, because the World Bank is a global institution providing various levels of assistance. If you are in low income category, they will offer you direct assistance through loans. subsidized loans. If you're in the middle income category, you can get access through various forms of loans. If you're in the lower middle income, upper middle income, it's more advisory work. And you will know that in Sasana Kitchang, the World Bank have an office in Malaysia. The type of assistance the World Bank offer here in Malaysia is advisory work, not direct financial assistance. If Malaysia were to move into the high income category under the World Bank, there would be no financial assistance. In fact, there'd be no help at all. They would come and ask you for money in order to fund their work. So this is actually a taxonomy which is based on the type of assistance you can expect from the World Bank. It has no economic content. Let me try to explain that a little bit further. What would it mean to be in the high income group? It means that your average income measured by the ATLAS method under the World Bank statistical system would be above a threshold that they have determined. How do they determine that threshold? Who knows? What does that threshold mean? Who knows? But what we do know about it is it's an average measure. It's an average measure of income per capita, total gross national income per capita. Take the total value of the economy divided by the number of people in the economy. That's the level. It doesn't tell you what is in your pocket, what is in your wallet, what is in your e-wallet, what is in your bank account. It doesn't tell you how actual people in the actual economy here in Malaysia actually earn per month, per year. It doesn't tell you anything about it. It doesn't tell you about the distribution of that income. You can have average income above the threshold, like the United States has. Of course, it's a high income economy on average terms. But the United States has one of the worst distributions of income across its population. In terms of rich and poor, it has one of the widest distributions, one of the biggest groups or the biggest proportions of the population in the low income groups. The high income idea doesn't give us any insight into distribution of income. And that's why, as a measure, as an economic measure, it's very deficient. First, it's deficient because it has no economic content. It's a taxonomy. Second, it's deficient because it's a statistical issue. It's a question of the ATLAS method and what that means. And third, it doesn't really help us in terms of understanding the distribution of income. So as economists, that's how we would answer this question. If you were a politician, you would answer it in a different way. But you would say, well, we're going to get there soon. Well, they said in 2010, we will get there by 2020. The economists I was working with at that time said, good luck with that. You are nowhere close to getting there by 2020. 2020 came and left. No, still not there. Now it's 2020 something, 2028. So another 8 years. So you're still nowhere close to that. Why? Because it doesn't have any meaning to it in any reality. So should we look at that as a target? I would say not really, because it's not useful. What is more useful? Well, something that is more useful is this idea of equity. We would want a more equitable economy. As economists, we understand that there is a very clear difference between equality and equity. They are not the same thing at all. Two people go into a food court, each has 100 ringgit. They buy their lunch. When they go in, they are equal in money terms. They all both have 100 ringgit. So one person buys their lunch and pays 10 ringgit. The other person buys their lunch and pays 20 ringgit. Suddenly, they're not equal anymore in terms of income. Obvious. Equality is a measure, a very clear, objective measure. You are either equal or you are not equal. That's it. There's no gradation of equality. You are either equal or not. But equity is different. They both started with 100 ringgit. They both made a choice for their lunch. They ate their lunch, provided they liked what they ate, and they felt that they got the value of the money they spent. That's equitable. Even though the outcome is not equal. Now, if they did that every day, the guy who spends 10 ringgit a day would become there would be a continuing difference between the guy who pays 10 ringgit a day and the guy who pays 20 ringgit. In 5 days, the guy who pays 20 ringgit will have no income at all. The guy who pays 10 ringgit a day would have 50 ringgit. That's personal choice. And there's no equity issue there. And there is no prime facie reason why the government should intervene in terms of equity. Because they paid what they wanted, they got what they wanted, provided they enjoyed the meal. That's equity. So, yes, we want to move toward an equitable society, but that does not mean moving toward an equal society. Because as economists, we all know we are not born equal. We are not. We are each of us born with a huge diversity of talent and resources and skills and capabilities and abilities. Every one of us is different, and that's what makes the world wonderful. And as economists, if we try to force equality, that means taking away from people and giving to other people. And that itself is distortionary in terms of the economic process. So yes, we want an equitable economy, but that equity is one of equal opportunities, and freedom of choice, and understanding that if the market works effectively, you get what you pay for, and if you're happy with that, there's no reason for anyone to interfere. But equity is important, and you will know, any of you who have read my work, I am very much in favor of a universal basic income, for example. I'm very much in favor of a universal basic pension, for example. I have argued very strongly for free education, free higher education for every single Malaysian. And I've also told the government how they can pay for that. For me, these are questions of equity, not questions of equality, questions of equality of opportunity, equality of access, not equality of income. These are very important distinctions as economists we want to distinguish. And they're very simple, as far as I can see, very simple concept. But we are being pushed for complexity, complexity, complexity. We want to move to a higher value added, higher, more complex economy. Yeah, this is the drive that's coming from policy now. Technology driven. Teach STEM in schools, teach STEM in universities. Teach economics in universities. But the question arises, why? Why do you want greater complexity? If you can achieve your target level of income simply and straightforwardly, why do you need to be complex about that? The aim of complexity has to be balanced with the aim of equity and the aim of reaching a target income across as many people as possible. That doesn't have to be complex. We don't need sunshine and windmills and rainbows and unicorns and flying cars. We don't need all of that. We can do it simply and straightforwardly. And what's more, if we want that level of technology-driven growth, the government is not the organization to deliver that, because the government will always, always, always be behind the curve. Always. The growth of technology is always driven by the market, by the economy. Can we have the next slide? All right. So it was transition toward what? I'm not telling you what we should transition toward. I'm just saying when we ask that question, we have to consider it from an economic perspective. It is not obvious what that should be. In a fragmented global economy, is the global economy fragmenting? I'm a little bit older than most of you, although I could certainly pass for undergraduate with my boyish good looks, but I am a little bit old. Right? I can tell you when I was in your position, I was sitting in a room like you in a black suit, just like you were as an undergraduate. They were telling me then the world was complicated and that the world was fragmenting and that this was in 1992 or 1989 to 1992 when I was an undergraduate. They were telling us then the world was falling apart. Oh my God, it's the Armageddon. We will not survive. And every single year it's been the same. It's always terrible. It's always the Armageddon. There are always global headwinds. There are always risks. There are always this and always that and always something else. Right? Last year it was, well, this year it's what? It's the conflict in the Middle East. Last year it was the Trump tariffs. The year before that it was the US-China trade war. The year before that it was something else, and then something else, and something else, right? The world is always in the sense of flux. And as economists, we understand that, and we don't panic about that. We keep calm and we carry on, right? Because we understand that's what it is. But there is a shift. There is a shift in the changing economic power centers. There is a shift. China is becoming very much more important. When I was an undergraduate, China was a closed economy, relatively small, with very low per capita income. Now it's the second largest economy in absolute terms, although in per capita terms, it's still a little bit down. India, similarly. India was a developing economy, less developed economy, we used to call them then. Now, India is nowhere close to being a less developed economy. India is a powerhouse, massive powerhouse. And these changes are shifting the centers of global power from the United States and from Europe into Asia, broadly defined Asia, China, India, Southeast Asia, West Asia. All of these areas now are the growth centers of the world economy. And that's why it's so exciting for you guys to be here, to live here, to have been born here, to grow up here, because the future actually is yours. It's not mine. In the United Kingdom, if you saw the election results today, you'll see the terrible situation we are in the United Kingdom. The future is here. So there is a power shift. There is also a power shift away from countries and away from governments into big corporations. Yeah, Musk, Bezos, Zuckerberg. These are people who run companies that are bigger than countries. We call it bigger than Belgium. So if you take the GDP of Belgium and you take the revenue of some of these countries, these companies have revenues bigger than European countries. That's a big power shift. We've never seen that before. Well, I mean, historically, we have seen, of course, very large multinational corporations, but we've never really seen that level of shift toward companies, private enterprises being bigger than countries. And that does pose issues for us as economists. How are we to understand that? How are we to devise policies that respond to that? Well, some of the policies that we are often seeing now, we saw last year under the tariffs, and we're seeing more and more of it now, appear to be a response to this changing global landscape, which is protectionism. And Malaysia is no stranger to protectionism. Malaysia is one of the most protected economies certainly in the region. As a general rule, economists do not like protection. As a general rule, there is an argument for infant industry protection. We all understand that. And that means when industries are starting out, you want to protect them so that they can get themselves on their feet, get themselves some market share, establish themselves, then you free up the market. That's what we're seeing now with EVs. The new policy on electric vehicles is aiming to protect the Malaysian EV industry. You can see a lot of Malaysian EVs now, photons in particular. But we are seeing more protectionism now, I guess, than we were before. And last year, when we had the Trump tariffs, here's the irony of the Trump tariffs. The irony is that this was presented as American protectionism, but more tariffs were abolished under that Trump Tariff Liberation Day exercise than had ever been abolished in any one exercise of global economic policy. Between Malaysia and the US, more than 2,000 tariffs under the Agreement on Reciprocal Trade, the ART, would have been abolished if the ART had continued. More than 2,000. Now the ART has been abolished. The tariffs are still there. So ironically, that push for Liberation Day, which everybody said is protectionist and the Americans are imposing tariffs, actually had the opportunity of removing the tariffs. The non-tariff barriers are still there, but the tariffs would have gone. Okay, let's finish up. I know I'm already running out, but quickly, I promise just the last slide. Repositioning. So what should Malaysia do? Well, when someone says reposition, the first thing you have to say, why? Am I in such a bad position? Actually, if you look at the forecasts and you look at the economic outlook and you go to Sasana Kichan when Bank Negara do their assessments, you're not in such a bad position. Economic growth in the first quarter in Malaysia was 5.3%. Last year as a whole, it was 5.2%. Even in the worst scenario, it will be between 4 and 5%. The World Bank are saying 4.4%, the IMF 4.7%. I think it will be around 4.5%. That's not bad. That's not a bad position. There are issues that need to be addressed. We have stagnant wages. It's a structural issue. We have a very high level of underemployment. That's a structural issue. And these are things that have to be addressed through policy, by all means. But the general situation, not in a bad position. Yes, there is a question of oil supply. And Nordisham was on, Nordisham Hussain, the Prime Minister's economic advisor, was on BFM yesterday saying, yes, there is a problem with oil supply. But then he also said, we're confident up to 80% into July. So we had May, then June, now July. Yeah. So it's not such a bad position. In terms of the impact of the oil price hike on ordinary Malaysians, nothing has changed for you guys. You still pay 1.99. I'm the one who has to. I'm the one. No one helps me. It's bad for me, but not so bad for you, right? Okay, you're not worse off as a consequence. Yes, the fiscal position has tightened. Yes, the subsidies have gone up tenfold. That's bad. That's bad. Because what that means is the government will take money from health and the government will take money from higher education. That's bad. That is definitely bad. But that's a consequence of the obsession with low petrol prices. If prices of petrol is cheaper than water in Malaya. You go to Petronas, you put a liter of petrol, you pay 1.99. You go inside and buy a liter of water. It's more than 2. Petrol is cheaper than water. If you have that obsession, you're going to have less money in higher education. More importantly, you have less money in health. That's the economic cost. That's the guns and butter. That's the opportunity cost that economists know about. So that's the practice. Repositioning in what way? Well, toward addressing those structural issues. Let me be clear, these structural issues have been around for a long time. This is not the unity government's caused, did not caused by the unity government. In fact, the subsidy rationalization program under the unity government is the first time that we have seen significant effort to restructure subsidies, not just on petrol, but across everything else. And it's a fantastically difficult thing to do. Very brave for the government to have done that. And before the oil price hike, they were making great progress. 20 billion ringgit had been saved. And that would have been 20 billion ringgit into healthcare, into higher education. Because of the oil price hike, it's gone. It's not their fault. But that sort of repositioning, those sort of structural changes are the things that need to be focused on. And as economists, those are the things that we need to try to see. How do we deal with subsidy rationalization? How do we deal with stagnant incomes? How do we deal with structural underemployment? These are the issues that, how do we deal with inequality? How do we deal with delivering a more equitable distribution of income? These are the things that are more important. So finally, what can you do as undergraduates? Or what can you do as economic students? What can you do as economists? The only people who can change the economy are economists. The only people who can change economic policy are economists. So what can you do? Speak up, speak out, continually tell the government, this is a good way to go, this is a bad way to go. Speak truth to power with evidence, with data, with analysis. Not just some narrative or some advocacy position, but actually tell the government. Learn the basic issue of division. Government says, let me give you an example. 1 minute, I'll give you an example. The state government in Selangor asked me to advocate their recent stimulus package. They called it a stimulus package. They told me that they were going to give an amount of money. And they said, this amount of money is going to affect 168,000 people. And I said, okay, you take the amount of money, you divide it by 168,000 people, you are giving every household 80 ringgit. So in a household, how many people are there? 4 people on average in a household. So 80 ringgit per household is 20 ringgit per year. So they were saying, help me to advocate this big chunk of money we're spending. And I said, actually, 20 ringgit a year is not a big chunk of money. I'm not going to help you to advocate. Take the money, divide it and divide it and divide it, and see in the end how much per day per person it means that you're going to get. That's what you can do as economists. Simply divide a big number by a small number and try to help people to understand. Economists can do a great deal, and we should continue to do a great deal. Whatever you do, despite wearing black suits, don't give up economics and shift to law. Stay with economics and advocate for the economic position. That's the best thing. And the next best thing is, look at the next slide. Can we see the next slide? There's it. No, not that one. The one with the, okay, the next best thing you can do, read my column in FMT, go to my Substack, subscribe to my Substack. There was a QR code for my Substack. Subscribe to my Substack and write to me about anything that you want me to discuss. There it is. Go to the Substack, subscribe to the Substack, write to me about anything you want to discuss, and I'll help you. That's the best thing you can do. For the moment, at least. When you graduate, go get a job with your bank. Go get a job with bank and change policy. All right, that's it. Thank you very much. Maybe we have some questions too. A little bit, yes. Let's have some questions. Sorry, I'm late, but it doesn't matter. You're not going anywhere, right? It's Saturday morning. You tell that we're not science students. If you're science students, we know how to fix them up. Go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you, Professor Geoffrey, for that very insightful and informative lecture. We'll proceed with the Q&A session. So participants, if you have any prepared questions, please raise your hand and a microphone will be passed on to you.
Good. I can see one.
Hello there. It's nice to see you and listen to your special lecture. My name is Nafis from UM. So I have a concern how you tell us to become the next generation of free position of Malaysia. With the rising of unemployment rate in Malaysia, and plus with the gender issues and technological issues such as rising of AI. So my question is if Malaysia is going to reposition itself high up the global value chain, how do we break our historical reliance on cheap labor as a competitive advantage? And how do we ensure this repositioning actually results in better wages for the everyday workforce? Thank you so much.
Okay. How do you disengage yourself from the reliance on cheap labor and make labor more expensive? How do you do that? There are 2 million legal foreign workers, right? And you give these guys, from wherever they come from Indonesia and from Myanmar, Philippines, you give these guys so many advantages, so many incredible advantages. Why? You allow employers to hire them on low wages, which you cannot be paid because we have a minimum wage. They have to be paid the minimum wage, that's true. But most people on the minimum wage are the foreign workers. Most Malaysians are always paid above the minimum wage. Yeah. So you allow the employers to pay the minimum salary to the foreigners. So they will always take your job. Basic economics, right? You allow the employers to hire the foreigners on a hire and fire contract. They hire you today, they don't need you tomorrow, they fire you. You can't do that with a Malaysian. With a Malaysian, you have to give 3 months notice, you have to give retrenchment pay. If you sack people unlawfully, it goes to the employment court. The foreigners have none of this. They have no legal protection. So those employers who have that very bad attitude toward employing people will always employ the foreigners because there's no legal protection. No salary, no legal protection. When you get your job, you have to pay 11% EPF. Your employer has to pay 13% EPF, right? You are, even if the base salary is the same, you are 13% more expensive, right? So what should we do? Take away your EPF? Of course not. The foreigner gets 2% EPF. So what do? Raise the EPF for the foreigners, put them on the same basis as the Malaysians, they will then be 13% more expensive. The moment they are 13% more expensive, they are less attractive to hire. The moment they are less attractive to hire, you get a better option at the job. Your total pay, your total package will be better. That EPF is yours, by the way. It is a contribution, 11% for you, 13% for them, 24% more expensive, but it's your money. It's not taken from you, it's your money. So actually, if you simply placed foreign workers on the same footing as Malaysian workers, they would be more expensive and therefore they would be less competitive in the labor market and you would have a better shot at those jobs and everybody's income would go up. Everybody's income would go up. Now, we know that the minimum wage has pushed up people's income, particularly in the lower income group, but in the middle income group, the incomes haven't gone up. The government have a progressive wage policy that's focused on the middle income group. But the progressive wage policy is for 50,000 people in the middle income group. There are 3 million people in the middle income group, not 50,000, 3 million. So how do you change that? Progressive wage for every one of those 3 million. Every one of those 3 million. And how do we deal with that? Something that is called a reverse income tax. The reverse income tax was advocated by Milton Friedman in the 1980s. It is the most widely accepted mainstream form of dealing with income inequality across every type of economist, left, right, and center. A reverse income tax is part of the progressive wage policy. You can raise incomes if you introduce that. There's another option. In terms of adoption of new technologies, take your phone, open it up, type AI courses. How do I understand AI? Then for free, you personally, for free, can work out immediately how to do any type of AI that you want to do, that you need to do. You don't need some minister, you don't need some civil servant, you don't need some lecturer. You take the agency for yourself and build your own human capital. Invest in yourself, and then you will raise your income. Because that's the way the incomes are increasingly going to be earned. Not through form of employment, but through individual agency. Okay, any other question? Time's up. Okay.
Unfortunately, due to a time constraint, that will be the end of our Q&A session. If you have any further questions, you may scan the QR code
You
on
can
the
send
screen.
the QR code and my Substack, and then I'll answer for you. And share it too.
To express our gratitude, we would like to invite Mr. Ong An Shui, Deputy Director of UMES, to come up to the stage to present the token of appreciation.
Is it a very large check? Economist, right? We all economists. Oh, I'm
Thank you once again, Professor Geoffrey Williams, for your time and contribution. We now invite the questions to the start Professor briefing to the VIP holding day. Participants, we will now proceed to the case study presentations. Once again, we will now be proceeding to the case study presentations. Please note that all presentation rooms will be on level 1. And to all non-case study participants, please remain in this hall as well while waiting for the presentations to end. I will now be announcing the first batch of participants to head to your respective rooms. Group 2. Can you raise your hands? Group 2? All right. Your room will be at Tutoret 1.11 and your person in charge is Yusing. So you may follow Yusing. Group 9. May you know where group 9 is? All right. Your room will be in Tutoret 1.12 and your person in charge is Huwaida. And group 40. All right. Yours will be in room 1.01 and your person in charge is Azam. Azam is at the back over there. All right. So to the other case study participants, you may remain here as well to prepare for your presentations. Thank you.
Like really rushed. You okay?
Yeah.
It's quite rushed.
I think you got I like the handshake.
Handshake.
For I
Fine.
yeah, it's like yeah. It's good. Oh yeah, big table. Is this live? Is this live? Right. Oh. So okay, I think rest time.
Yeah. For the next one.
Just a reminder to all participants, no outside food or drinks are allowed inside the auditorium.
You're inside.
Hello, everyone. To all the participants who are still in this auditorium, there is a booth that is open by Econ Works. So you guys may visit them now outside this auditorium if you're interested. Thank you. Sure.